What is up, everybody? Stefan here, Maritime Outdoors, and as you can see, I'm back in the woods. It is Thursday, October 30th, day before Halloween, and yeah, I am getting a terribly slow start to my season. I got the apple pile going. As you can see, I got my camera set up right there. Got the blind set up. We're back in the same, what I call the finger cut. The same place I shot that buck in last year. Right down there is a ridge. Goes down probably about 15 to 20 feet elevation drop. And that's all a swamp in back there. And then you have another finger that's cut about 30 yards to the right. And that leads into a chopping. This finger that I'm in right here. And then there's another finger right there. And I think that one that we're looking at right now, I think that's the path that the deer take. They come in here. They come right by the camera there. They hug that ridge. And then they bugger off that way, go into the chopping. There's another trail right there, if you remember from last year. So, yeah, like I said, terribly slow start to my season. Hunting season here. Rifle starts this weekend. I didn't do any bow hunting this year. I didn't have time. I was busy working. Started my own little company, so I'm trying to get that off the ground as quick as possible. Here in Nova Scotia, if you're not from here and you're viewing in from out of province or in the United States, we had terrible summer this year. I said to myself, I was going to get my gear ready and set up sometime in July, maybe early August. And I said, no, next weekend I'll do it. And then finally it came to a point where we didn't have rain for probably close to 50 days without rain. The woods got put on ban, so you weren't allowed in the woods unless you actually own the property and lived there. You weren't allowed in the woods to hike, fish, ATVs. Everything was on lockdown. It was like COVID all over again, but for the woods. There was forest fires all across the province. I hear there was all kinds. I was working out west. I heard there's all kinds of forest fires all over the place. When I was in Alberta this year working in the spring, we were under mandatory mask every other day because of the smoke and stuff like that. So, I mean, it was bad everywhere, but that kind of put a damper on things. And then, it was like a week. It was like a week away from bow season, and I'm working, traveling back and forth to work in the mornings and in the evenings, and I just didn't have a drive. I didn't have that. Got to get to the woods. I just didn't have it this year, and to be honest, I still don't. But it's coming. It's coming a little bit every day. I'm seeing pictures of people with bucks on their cameras. I'm seeing friends of mine that shot bucks. Shout out to Ross. He got a nice buck last Friday. And it was actually the 22nd or the 23rd of October. 6-pointer, 100% full velvet. So if you didn't see it, you wouldn't believe it for a buck in full velvet that late in the season. But it was full velvet. I'll throw a picture up here if I can get one. Turns out when he cleaned him up, one of his testicles was like non-existent, you could say, and the other one was very, very small. So talking to a few people, that buck might have had an injury early in the season, or when it was a yearling, 2 years. Anyways, some sort of injury happened to this buck, and it doesn't produce the same hormones to want to shed the velvet, is what we're told. So pretty cool story, and pretty awesome to get a buck in full velvet this late in the season with your bow. So that's awesome for Ross. So I got a video coming. It should have been out last year, at the end of the season. It's a recap of how my season last year went. It'll be out shortly. I have the footage. I just never edited it there. It was here and there, and I just, like I say, I got busy with work and flat out this year again, and then next week, week 2, I'm not going to be hunting, but I'm going to be behind the camera because my cousin, he's coming over from PEI. He's never hunted before. He done all his courses and stuff. He's never hunted before, and he's hoping that he can get a deer. I don't think he's going to be too picky. I think the first decent sized deer is going to come out. I mean, for a first deer, you can't go wrong with that. Everybody's been in that situation. You got to get your first deer before you can get the big ones, I guess. Unless the big one is your first deer, and then you're constantly chasing to do better. And then that's going to be the plan for next week and the week after. Pretty much the same as last year. Going to try and do a weekly video, progress, see start to finish. So anyways, enough chit chatting. I am going to go get some lunch.